Yeah, last day here of the offseason program. I'll kind of share with you guys the same message I share with our team, that I just appreciate their attendance. I appreciate their buy-in, the work that we put in. We're a better football team now than we were when we started. And I'm excited about getting ready for training camp. The guys have really, it's been competitive, it's been intense. We've gotten a lot of great work in over the course of the offseason program. And that ultimately doesn't guarantee us anything. And so we got a lot of work still ahead of us. We got a whole training camp to go. But I like where we're at. I'm appreciative of the effort that's been put in, and I'm excited to wrap this up today. We got I think we got 3 teams, maybe a 4th team sort of in the running on this last day. 2 teams are only separated by a point here, and with one to play. So it should be pretty competitive for this guys trying to finish off the offseason on a high note. No. Maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see. I won't do it until training camp, though.
And the rookies stick around next week.
Yes.
What will their schedule look like before they leave?
They'll be pretty busy in the morning. They'll still have some lifting and some work in the weight room with Zach Woodfin and his staff. The player engagement staff takes over. They do a couple things with them as a group. They go visit some places around Nashville. They'll also do some player development stuff. Some things that just, leadership development, kind of wrapping up their off-season program as well. They kind of go through their own congruent process as this off-season program runs. The rookies run as well with their own programming. So it's their finalizing of their off-season as well. Get to keep them for one more week. So it's beneficial. It's good for them. And they get a chance just to be with just the rookies together for one more week, and a little bit of reflection on the off-season and where they're at and where we're headed.
You talked about Bryce Oliver a good bit before the off-season work started. Wondering how he's kind of responded to the new numbers in the group, and what's your kind of off-season eval of
Bryce has been good. He's been what I was hoping to see. He's been consistent. And sometimes it's hard to find the targets all the time, try to put guys in position to show, have opportunities. He probably hasn't had as many opportunities as some of the other guys have. That's just by nature of how the ball's been thrown. But I'm looking forward to having Bryce, and Bryce shows up in pads too, particularly in the special teams world as a gunner. So excited for Bryce. He's had a good offseason at work, his 2nd year in the system. He's on top of the details, which is good to see. So looking forward to seeing what his camp looks like.
You drafted some guys with traits. You're obviously young. How important is development here? How much is on your position coaches in particular, and what have you seen so far in that?
Yeah, that's our job ultimately, and that's the whole philosophy behind the draft and develop process. You got to take young players; they got to play for you. You have to coach them. You have to coach them hard. They have to be ready and available to go play, and that's how you develop the guys. And our assistant coaches have done a fantastic job with that process. I've been really pleased with the work they've put in, with the work that those young players have put in with them. And then the other part of it too is there's a whole player development program that we have kind of kicking off the ground here that sort of monitors all these things all the way through the season. And there's off the field things, there's performance in the weight room with strength, weight, body comp, all those things. There's a personal development part of it. I'm really excited about how that program is going to get put together for these guys over the course of the summer, and it really kicks off when they get back for training camp. So a lot of emphasis on development, not just as football players, but off the field, body composition, all those things as well. It's all part of the holistic picture. So excited about that. I think it's going to be good for us.
Typically in this break time, quarterbacks and receivers will schedule a time to convene somewhere, start to get some work in before camp. Are you in the loop as far as what plans are on that?
Loosely, I don't know anything concrete at the moment. I think these guys are all trying to figure out when and where they're all going to be places. I'm sure they'll get together at some point. I don't have anything concrete for that. You might have to ask. They might know better than I do at this point. But I'm sure there'll be a group of guys getting together, and I know a lot of guys are around here too. So there'll be some work probably locally for them as well. The guys that are in town, I would imagine something gets lined up somewhere.
What do you
Let me go back to Easton real quick, and I'll come back.
You guys put a lot of effort into this offseason program. Maybe what did you feel like you learned from doing it for the first time? Is there anything that you're wanting to maybe tweak when you pick it back up in the summer?
We sort of tweaked all along. We found out some things, especially like points. How how are you dividing up points for the offensive line, for example? Like, it's really hard for offensive linemen to get positive points. They don't have TFLs. They don't, kind of linemen just do their job, and that's their job. So how do you award points for that? And we tweaked some of how we awarded some points to the guys up front. We've tweaked a little bit of the process as it's gone. It's sort of a little bit of trial and error, not anything dramatic, but just little things that would come up. We maybe make an adjustment here or there. But I'm really happy with how the program went. And again, I think you can ask the players how they felt about it, but I think it kept our competitiveness high. I think it kept our focus on the things that matter. The intent of what we were trying to get done was sort of on our minds all the time. I hit it every day from in the team meetings, from practice, things that showed up that we needed to cover. So I think it's made us a better football team at the end of the day, and that's what the goal was. And again, we got another whole lot of work ahead of us, but for the program in and of itself, I thought it was, for the most part, successful.
Brian, what are you hoping to see out of Cam out of this final day, and kind of how would you evaluate his performance as a whole in this short week?
Progressed. He's gotten better every time he stepped out. Every situation, a lot of things are new, and every time he did it again or had an opportunity to see the rep again, did a nice job of taking the coaching points and improving on the next time out. And today will be his third time down here in the red zone. That's important. That's another critical area we need to improve in. And that timing everything happens faster. The windows are much more condensed, and it's always good. It's just you can't get enough work down in the red zone. So that's another nice way to cap off the camp for us, is to work down there in the short part of the field and see if he's improved from the last time. So excited about that.
To that point, how important was a day like yesterday where the defense is, giving him more problems than they did in day one?
Yeah, critical. I mean, that's where the growth occurs, especially for young players, is challenging situations. Try to make practice more challenging than the game is going to be, ideally. And the hard part when you're doing just like periods of third down is it's just sort of endless. The rush is coming. They know it's third down. The pressure packages. I thought Cam's did a really nice job of handling answers. What are his answers versus our particular problems, and then made some really nice throws and then missed on a few others, and that's a good thing because it gives us a chance to coach on it. I thought the 2-minute drill was great coaching opportunities for us for the entire offense and defense. Again, those are situations you can't get enough of, and it's hard to do that every day, but we need as many of those opportunities as possible because, again, third down, red zone, and 2 minutes is where you win and lose football games in this league, and we'll have a stronger emphasis as training camp gets going. We get more practices stacked up to execute in those moments.
Talked a lot about him and just how he's always has been working this whole off season. He needs to maybe take a break. What's the balance like between now or when they're programming next week until camp starts, as far as you've been in contact with him, Bo, Nick, trying to let him get away, but also need to stay on him about being ready for camp?
Yeah, I think the veterans are the guys that set the example for that stuff because when it's been a really long run for them when you think about end of their college seasons through the combine, the draft process, and then all of a sudden they're thrown into a new team. A lot happens, and so they do need a chance to step back. But this isn't really a vacation time, if you're a player in the league. This is a short break, but you're trying to ramp yourself back up to get ready for training camp because it counts now. It matters. And so the veteran guys know how to take the right break, a week or two, maybe over the 4th of July, go do. But, I mean, they're really focused on getting back ready to work. And that's the difference between this time of year and, let's say, postseason, where there's the work is quickly approaching for training camp. And we got to be in great shape. And I told all the guys in the team meeting this morning that let's not take a step back from the progress we've made. And that's both physically, that's mentally, that's execution-wise. Let's come back in training camp where we are now and not lose anything from this time frame. And that's always a challenge, but I think the guys that know how to do it right, and our rookies will be on top of it.
Brian, in terms of the
You guys
offseason,
I'll come back.
in terms of the offseason program, you said you saw the uptick in competitiveness you want. Guys have also talked about the other emphasis of eliminating the sins.
Yeah.
Have you been able to track that, and how much
yeah.
better do you feel you are in that category this year than maybe this time last year?
Yeah, it's a good question because I just hit it this morning with the team. What we started to see over the course of the offseason, particularly over this last probably 4 or 5 practices, is the sins that we can control, which for those that don't know this, we call them sins. They're self-inflicted negatives. So false starts, operation procedure problems, pre-snap penalties, all those things that indicate sloppy play in all phases. Those have sort of trended down as the weeks have gone by. And so the only real sins, yesterday was a great example, the only like major sins that we had were more the physical ones. And those happen, so we can live with those. But we've trended down on eliminating all the things operationally that we can control. It's been cool to watch that process play out. And you see the effect, as the old adage goes, you get what you emphasize, and we've emphasized it pretty dramatically, and I've seen the improvement from it. Now, again, it's June, we got to keep seeing that improvement, but I've been pleased with what it's shown over the course of the offseason.
Brian, speaking
What
of trade
interested,
program.
what interested you guys in Oro Warrier, and is he a guy that has taken advantage of opportunities here?
Yeah, there's been plenty of opportunities in the secondary. And so, a guy's played some football. He's started games in this league. And, again, we're looking for competition from top to bottom. There's opportunities because we're not at full tilt in the secondary. And he's done a nice job taking advantage of it. So we're trying to build a competition. We're trying to build depth. And he's one of those guys that's going to have plenty of chances to perform for us. And training camp will be big for those guys in the secondary.
Particular that intrigued you about it? I know he's kind of got an interesting background. But...
Yeah, I mean, for me, just from a player perspective, just the length, his ability, his seeing him play has had some special teams work as well, which gives you a chance to keep building your special teams depth. He's done some really good things as a cover player in the league, and we're trying to add as many of those guys as we can find.
Speaking of training camp, Brian, do you have a report date? Is around July 22nd?
22nd will be the report date. We'll
First
start.
day on the field, the 23rd?
Yes. Yep. So 22nd, the report. That's physicals. That's the conditioning, and then the 23rd will be the first on the field practice. That first day is the first day of the acclimation period, which now goes like 7 or 8 days. We got to fit into some rules and when we can do pads and all that. So we'll go for those first 4 days after we get back. Will be 4 days straight, and then we cap that Saturday. It'll be at the stadium. So that'll be our first week. Go ahead.
Referred to missed sacks. I'm wondering, were your missed sacks, can you put into context your missed sacks last year as compared to the league? Like, how far off is that number from what an average team would miss?
I don't have that one off the top of my head. I can maybe find that. It's more about just the finishing of the sacks. We had them wrapped up. It slips out. We don't come to balance. We don't do a good enough job technically to get themselves in position to bring a quarterback down. We missed, probably, I think somewhere in the range of 20 plus, when you're just looking at chances we had to get the quarterback on the ground that we didn't get. And obviously you convert those missed sacks into sacks, you're in a much better place than we ended up at the end of the year. So that's been a big point of emphasis for us. And a lot of that has to do with the balancing of the rush too, and making sure that we don't give quarterbacks lanes. So if we do miss one by somebody, the next part there is to clean up that next part of it. So I'm really pleased with the way that defensive line's worked over the course of this offseason. I'm happy with our improvements we've made, and hopefully that number goes way down for us.
I feel like that's disproportionate to what goes on with the average defense.
That's hard to say. I'd have to go look and dig into that one to say with confidence. I just know there was too many opportunities that we missed.
In terms of, a lot of talk has been made about the offensive line and trying to solidify the starters, but how do you feel like the depth pieces are coming along in terms of building that and having it to a
Sure.
point where there's not a lot of drop off if guy number 6, 7, or 8 has to play?
Yeah, inevitably they all do. Whatever guys you have active, they're probably going to play for you at some point. I think Blake Hance has been a really nice addition for us. The guy's played a lot of football, has got experience as an interior player at guard, and he's also played some tackle. He's started games at both those spots. Having Blake here has been great, and Blake's gotten the bulk share of the work because Zeitler's been out. So it's been good to get him all that work and get him familiar. Obviously, my dad knows him from his time in Cleveland, but he's been a good piece for us. The guy that I think deserves some public praise is Corey Levin. With Lloyd being out, we brought Corey back to be able to run the show, and Corey's a veteran player, and he is a savvy, scrappy, intelligent interior guy that's really helped us run our offense over the course of the offseason without Lloyd. Really, really pleased with what he's done for us. Really happy that we have him because he's very capable, and he started games for us at the end of the year last year, and he started games in his past. Been very pleased with his performance, and again, if that guy is a depth piece, then that's fantastic for us. And then this the swing tackle spots got a lot of competition between JD and Ole and John. Those guys are battling. It's going to be a battle. It's going to go all the way through camp. But I feel much better about our kind of top to bottom, 1 through 9, 10, now than I did last year. And again, long way to go before we determine all that. But the guys that have had to step up and that are going to be potentially depth players for us have been really positive.
Is Hance in the mix for that swing tackle job even with the guard play?
He could be, yeah, he definitely could be. And we'll get to that more in training camp because we needed him at guard for most of the spring. But, yeah, he's certainly in the mix for that potential role because he's done it. He's done it well over his time. And it's, we're going to find whatever the best player is we're going to have in that spot.
Has Dan Moore been everything that you anticipated he would be just up to this point?
Yeah, he's been fantastic. All the things about Dan that we knew from a personal standpoint, as far as his work ethic, his personality, all that stuff's been great. It's been really fun to watch him improve some of the technical aspects. And again, as we know, it's just my dad does things a little bit different and a different detail level than a lot of places. And he's taken to that really well. You can see the improvement in his footwork and his hand placement. That stuff's been good to see. Again, with no pads on, it's always hard to get a full picture, but everything that we would hope he would be, he's been for us so far. And, that's a good thing.
Speaking of your dad, it's Father's Day on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys have any
I didn't even
special
remember.
plans? Or actually, how great has it been until this point coaching with your dad?
Yeah, it's been really fun, to actually have to go through it all together, and now going into our second year, much more comfortable with how the roles work and how our relationships work, and it's been really cool to be a part of still. And every day I kind of wake up and I get a chance to go to work with my dad, and that's not something that I take for granted because I don't know how long he's going to do this. It's not going to be forever, and so just to have this opportunity to work together for this period of time, hopefully it's for a while still, has been really awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.